Introverted Man here. Well, I have finally found it, everybody. God exists. The proof you must know. At last. I've been looking for this for I don't know, 11 years. At last, I tell you, it has come. Surely this video will have the proof and evidence that I've been looking for. Yes, it's got to be. It's called God Exists, the proof you must know by the Christian way. I mean, it's gotta be it. It's just gotta be. Now, in the description, oh man, it has a description. Oh yeah, and this is good. Let me show you. It's got citations and everything. Look at all the citations that are there. Um, okay, it doesn't have any citations, but it says words. So I don't read the words. Maybe there's a logical argument in there. Dear brothers and sisters, it sounds like a letter. Okay, that's a bad start. It's okay. I'm sure it's gonna get better though. How many times have we found ourselves defending our faith against those who claim to have evidence of the non-existence of God? What? Huh? Who claims that? Does anybody claim to have evidence of the non-existence of God? I'm pretty sure that's not how the burden of proof works so well. So the answer would be zero, because this is a loaded question. See, you're assuming that people have been asked to do this, but if they have never been asked to do that, then the answer would have to be zero. How many times have we been told the scientific discoveries are erasing the very idea of God? I don't know. Maybe none? I mean, just wait, what? And then you didn't put a space between this question mark and the next word here, and that just irritates me that you didn't do that. So you should have done that. So why didn't you do that? Look, you put a space there, okay? It's not that difficult. Anyways, dear brothers and sisters, it's got a big family, I guess. The reality is quite the opposite of what? Now wait, the reality of what? Because you haven't said what reality. You asked two questions. You said, well, how many times have we done X? How many times have we done Z? And then the opposite is true. So we haven't been asked that, because then if we were at, what are you asking exactly? Look, you need to make up what you're saying, like, before you say it. Like write it down and make sure it makes sense. Because what you basically have said is that the reality is opposite from the questions that you just asked. That's how I read this at any rate. The more our knowledge of the world and universe advances, the more it brings us closer to God. Really? How so? I don't know. Guess we'll find out soon. Hashtag prayer, hashtag God, hashtag Jesus video. Christian Way is a Christian channel. Really, I would not have guessed that. A reference point for prayer. Okay. With us, you can pray every day and listen to the Word of God. I thought you could do that even without this. Like, you don't need a channel to do that. You can pray to God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, the Virgin Mary. She wasn't a virgin, so not sure about that. The saints, Padre Pio, Saint Rita. Pray for health, pray for work, pray for the family, pray for loved ones. Okay, what about, like, just pray for, like, world peace or something? What just kind of cover all your bases, right? In the channel, you'll find all these things. Wait. Vespers? The hell? Vespers? Vespers. A service of an evening prayer. Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know what that was. Whatever that word. Compline? The fuck is compline? Night prayer. Oh, man, they just inventing new words for prayer. It's just like the idea that Eskimos have like a million words for ice, but it's actually true for Catholics. So this isn't a Christian channel. This is a Catholic channel. Because a Christian wouldn't do this. A Christian wouldn't pray to the Holy Spirit. Or, well, maybe they'd pray to the Holy Spirit. They wouldn't pray to the Virgin Mary and the saints. So this is a Catholic channel, which is different from Christian. Or this is not a Protestant channel. You gotta say it's not a Protestant Christian channel at the very least. Anyways, you also find these prayers: morning prayer, evening prayer, prayer to ask for grace, prayer for the deceased, prayer to the Holy Spirit, simple prayer, Angelus prayer, prayer for the family, miraculous prayer, Christian meditation, prayer before going to sleep, Noveus, prayer of deliverance, healing prayer. My God. Wouldn't miraculous, I mean, just how about like, hey, stop fucking things up, God. There, that sounds like a good prayer to me. Join us in prayer. Subscribe to this channel to not miss out on new prayers, meditations, and gospel reading. Okay, so is this video a prayer? Is that what I'm about to watch then? Or is this proof that we must know? I don't know. Let's play and find out. He's holding the sun. He's holding the sun. Oh, wow. I've never seen that. Oh.
Dear brothers and sisters,
Hi.
how many times have we found ourselves defending our faith against those who claim to have evidence of the non-existence of God?
I already told you, zero, because nobody says that. Nobody says that. Nobody says that they have that. We ask you for evidence of God, and until we have evidence of God, we don't need to believe in God. That's not the same as saying that God doesn't exist. It's just saying there's no good reason to believe in something until you have evidence of it. So,
how many times have we been told that scientific discoveries are erasing the very idea of God?
well, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, the more we learn, the more it seems like there isn't a God. I mean, the fact of the matter is, every time that we have thought that something has been God in the past, we've been wrong as a species. So, you know.
Dear brothers and sisters, the reality is quite the opposite.
Right, I already said that didn't make sense when I read it in your thing.
The more our knowledge of the world and the universe advances, the more it brings us closer to God.
How? In what way? Do you have the proof?
In the journey of spiritual exploration,
Yeah, that part wasn't in the description. Finally, new content.
faith in the existence of God is the beacon that illuminates our souls.
Wait. Hold on. The proof versus faith. Proof, faith. Proof, faith. Sorry, faith is not proof. You don't have proof of God or the soul if you have faith. If you have faith, then you can't have proof. I'm going to write that as my comment. What was my comment earlier? Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm going to delete my old comment. If you have faith, you don't have proof. There you go. If you had proof, you wouldn't need faith. There you go. There. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah. All right. Anyways, okay. All right, back to this.
Today, however, we face a topic that may seem complex, but is, in fact, enlightening and strengthens our certainty in God.
Well, that's not a good idea. Like, you should argue against the idea that you most believe in. For example, you might say that there might have been a madman of a certain disposition who made like 3 or 4 videos just trying to explain the logical fallacy. Just an example of something, maybe. And people didn't understand the logical fallacy. They thought that it was one thing, but no. It turns out that no, the logical fallacy is different than what people thought. And so he's trying to argue with these people, like, and be like, no, look, this is really what the fallacy is. I'm telling you. But they don't want to listen, right? And then, like, the thing is, he tried to disprove that he was right about what he thought it was, and that's how he now knows he was wrong. And that's why he made videos, see? But you should do the opposite of that and just double down on your belief in things, because that's a better way to do stuff. Not no, it's not. Wait, what am I complaining about? I don't remember.
Current knowledge, scientific studies, and philosophical speculations do not distance us from God.
Well, if there is a God, then no, but that there wouldn't be anything that you could discover that would negate God if God was real, but you because God would be there for real, but then you'd have proof of God. So I'm waiting for that. Please offer the proof.
As many want us to believe, but they guide us towards the existence of a supreme creator.
How? In what way? I'm still waiting for that. Like, can you give me how that happens? Like,
before embarking on this wonderful and enlightening journey, I invite you to subscribe to the channel.
No, I don't care about subscribing to the channel. Look, you're exalting yourself above God? Oh, man.
If we observe the grandeur of creation, we recognize that every effect has a cause.
But does it, though? Like, we don't observe everything. We only observe what we can observe. And it does appear, at least in quantum physics, there might be effects that aren't caused. And also, we don't know how things were in the early universe, so that might be a place where effects don't have causes. I'm not saying that that is the case, but I'm saying it's possible. So I'm not willing to say that everything has a cause. I'm only willing to say that things that I observe have causes.
Everything we see has had an origin.
Well, sure. Everything that I observe now has an origin of some sort, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always been that way.
Whether it's a blade of grass dancing in the wind or a star shining in the sky. Today, we know that something binds them together inextricably.
What? We don't know any of that unless we have evidence for it. You can't just know something without proof or evidence, which I'm sure you have, because you said you have proof in your video title.
If we trace back in time, we discover that everything around us, from Earth to the deepest reaches of the cosmos, had an origin.
Well, kind of. Like, what we do is say, because we've observed redshift, that things are like going away, so then we infer that those things were closer together back in time. And, well, we could be wrong, but it seems to match the observations, so it's reasonable to say we were all closer together. That doesn't necessarily mean that we were always super close together or that everything was a tiny dot of stuff. Although, again, that's an inference that we make, but we could be wrong about that. And that might be the origin, I guess, like that tiny pinpoint of stuff. That might be the only origin that there is to anything, I suppose. So, yeah, okay, the universe that we understand, like, was really small, and, it was all, like, packed together, and it's just, like, really, really small dot. And then, like, it couldn't stay that way because there's too much stuff. So, like, it started separating from itself. And that's when things started happening. And that just happened because that's just what happens for no other reason. No guiding force, no motive. That's just how it unwinded because it did. So, yeah, I guess I agree, sort of, but not really. But okay. It's not proof of God yet.
For anything we observe, there exists another thing that is the cause of its existence.
Okay, great. So we have a rule. So anything we observe, there's a cause of its existence. Okay, great.
For example, if we enter a room and see a ball rolling from one side to the other, We take for granted that someone or something caused the ball's movement.
Yeah, you do, and you probably shouldn't, because there's all sorts of things that you could observe about that, like maybe the room's all wobbly. Maybe it's a ball that has like a smaller ball in it. There's a lot of possibilities here. Anyways, yeah, okay.
But why do we think this way? Because we know that a ball doesn't start rolling on its own.
Well, it depends. If you put the ball in outer space, you just literally dropped the ball from your hand in outer space, and you didn't impart any movement on it. Like, you were very careful and you let go of the ball. It would start moving on its own, at least from your perspective, because there's this thing called gravity that pulls stuff to do it, and it also is exerting gravity. The ball actually is exerting gravity. Yeah, and so is your hand, and so are you. In fact, if you were the most massive thing, the ball would slowly start to orbit you. But there's other massive things that are around that are way bigger than you, and the ball is probably going to go towards that. Unless you're so far away from everything that the only thing that there is you and the ball, and I guess the spaceship, which means the ball would probably orbit the spaceship. Well, let's just pretend the spaceship isn't there either. Then the ball's going to orbit you eventually, but it's going to take a while for that to happen. In fact, I'm pretty sure the ball is too big to orbit you. The mass has to be way greater for that to happen. I'm not totally sure. You know what? I don't know, because I'm not into that sort of science gravity stuff. So don't take my word for it. But the point is, there's gravity. So yeah, the ball could move what looks like on its own. But I guess gravity is a thing, sort of. Like mass is a thing. So okay. Anyways, yeah, all right.
It requires the intervention of something to set it in motion.
Well, things in motion tend to stay in motion unless an equal or opposite force stops it. So if it's always been in motion, then it doesn't need to be started on that thing, since it's always been that thing. See? So there is a possibility that the ball rolling has always been rolling, and you don't, and therefore you saying that the ball started rolling because something acted upon it might be not valid, because it just always was rolling. That's just a thing. I'm just saying that could be a thing. I'm not saying it is a thing. But okay, everything requires something to get it going. Okay, let's keep that rule. All right, everybody. No matter what, things need things to get going is the rule. And I am sure and positive, I am certain that this rule will not be broken in this video. All right, everybody, I'm taking bets. I am placing 1,000-to-1 odds that this video will not break its own rule of everything needing a cause and everything needing to be set in motion. There is zero way that this video will break those rules. Right, everybody? Right?
Therefore, it's obvious that the ball is incapable of starting to roll without an initial cause. This concept, which may appear trivial, is actually very significant. It took years of study to formulate it, and it has revolutionized and upended our understanding of everything. Now, if we take this principle that everything requires a cause to exist and apply it to the universe, we arrive at the proof of the existence of God.
No, you don't. You arrive at the idea that the universe being a thing now, which you're now having to describe the universe as a thing rather than a bunch of things, might also have a cause. Of course, this commits the logical fallacy or two along the way. But this is a parts and the whole fallacy. So let me explain what the fallacy of composition. Okay, the fallacy of composition is assuming that the parts or members of a whole have the same properties as the whole. So everything that we observe in the universe seems to have a cause. Then to infer that that is also true of the universe is in fact doing the fallacy of composition. But okay, we're going to ignore that because he says that that's proof. It's not, but he says it's proof. Why is it not proof of God? Well, because you haven't proven God. You've proven at best that there has to be a cause, but you didn't prove it because a proof within logic would require you to follow logic. So this isn't proof then.
The cosmological proof of his existence.
His? When did it become a him?
This is an incredibly powerful proof, considering that it has withstood the attacks of all those who have been working for years to prove that God does not exist.
Who has been working to prove God doesn't exist? Wait, are there people working for that? You can get paid for this? I've been doing this the whole time and not being paid? Oh my word! Why didn't somebody tell me I could have been paid for this? Oh, damn it! Damn it! Who do I see? Who do I call? Can I get back payments? Am I owed something? You know how long I've been doing this? Oh, man, this pisses me off.
Let's examine it together. As we have seen, today we know that everything that exists has a cause.
Well, no, we only know that what we observe has causes. But okay, that's the rule you established, and as I said, I've already put like thousands of dollars down, imaginary dollars, but still thousands of dollars. I'm betting that this rule is not going to be broken by you. Don't let me down.
If we imagine that the universe is not eternal and unchanging,
Okay.
but that it began to exist billions of years ago.
Well, we don't really need to imagine that because we can actually know that's true via science. So
it is undeniable that the universe needed a cause that brought about its existence.
Well, again, it's not because you haven't demonstrated that that's the case. You just made a very bad argument that that's the case. And it's a bad argument because of the composition fallacy. But, okay, sure.
Furthermore, we know that the cause that gave rise to the universe must necessarily be eternal.
Wait, why? Why does it have to be eternal? Why would it have to do that? Why couldn't it be short-lived? Why does it have to be anything? That doesn't follow. Okay, so you have a non sequitur, that's great. And must have a cause itself that determines it. What? Wait. Hold on. Say it again. Oh no, wait.
We know that the cause that gave rise to the universe must necessarily be eternal and not have a cause itself that determines it.
Oh no. Oh no, he broke the rule. He broke the one rule he set in the video. That means I lost all that money. Oh no! Oh, first I don't get paid for this. Now I'm down like thousands of dollars. God! He broke the rule. So the thing that we observe, right, which is like, oh look, we can observe this, but this doesn't follow the rule of all the other things. So the ball has to be set in motion by an internal thing that isn't set in motion. Okay, but then there is at least one thing that didn't need to be set in motion, right? Because that's what you're saying. They're saying there's at least one thing that is always in motion and that nothing else caused it to move, right? So that's what made the ball roll. Okay, great. So you broke the rule because now there isn't a rule. Now it's like, well, there's at least one thing, so there could be many things that would be eternal and not have causes for itself. There doesn't have to be just one, there could be a multitude of things now. Oh, you've opened Pandora's jug. It's not a box. It was originally like a jar or a jug or something. Anyways, you open that and let all these bad things out. And what's interesting in that story, if I can go on a minor tangent here, is that hope is like the last thing in the box that she lets out. But I'm sitting there thinking, or well, the wine jug or whatever. Anyways, I'm like, wait a minute. If she's let out all these bad, terrible things, right? Then that also means that hope was a bad and terrible thing. Because that's where you stored all the bad and terrible things, right? But you didn't need hope when there wasn't any bad and terrible things. You only needed it when there was bad and terrible things. Because before that, you didn't need hope because things were great, right? So then hope becomes bad because it's associated with all the bad stuff, which means you don't want hope, but you need hope because now all these things are bad. But your only hope is to put all the bad stuff back in the damn jug. But you can't do that. Now you've got hope, but that hope is useless. Useless, I say. Why was it at the bottom? Why didn't they put it at the top? I don't know. I shake all my stuff before I open it to eat it. Like, what do you not shake before you open it and eat it these days, right? Like, if it's in a bottle, you probably, maybe if it's carbonated, you don't. But I'm just saying, like, there's that olive oil stuff, and they got all those things in it, and you shake it, and it's not clear anymore. It's now all foggy and stuff, and that's really cool. And you're like, ooh, look, and then you let it sit for a while, and it goes back to being all like clear and stuff until you shake it again. Anyways, but you shake it because then you mix all the stuff. Why didn't they shake the jug? And then hope might have been mixed up with other everything, so you would have not been the.
If it were otherwise, we would simply go back infinitely in search of the cause that set everything in motion.
Yeah, but that's what eternal is. That is what eternal means. Is infinity. Just with no start. See, eternal means forever, right? It's infinity has a start and no end, okay? But eternal has no start and no end. So it's broken, basically. So you can't get to anything that set anything in motion because everything's always been set in motion at all times, which means you don't need God anymore because you messed up and you introduced this idea. In fact, there's no reason to think that this isn't happening all the time, that eternal, non-created, non-caused things are just making stuff happen all the time. But why do you think that's God? What proof of God is there? You still haven't given that.
So, to whom do we attribute the characteristics of eternity?
Hold on. That assumes there is a whom. That's an assumption. That's a loaded question. So that's more bad logic, which is like, I don't know, I've counted like 3 bad logics you've done here. It's probably more than that. Let's see, you've had the fallacy of composition. All right. Then you broke your own rules because you went against the rule that we had established. Everything has a cause, but not everything has a cause. There's one thing that doesn't have a cause, at least one. So not everything has a cause. There's a thing that we've never observed that doesn't have a cause, and it's also eternal because it can't be infinite, but it can be eternal because just because I said so. Then you're saying whom, which assumes there's a whom instead of a what to attribute any of this to, that you shouldn't be attributing any of it to because you don't have a valid argument.
and the ability to create the universe.
The ability to create the universe? You mean the ability to create a small dot of stuff that then becomes the universe? Because like the universe, like the universe started really small, so I don't know how what it takes to do that. Like an ability, you mean like a superpower? So like magic, you're saying magic. Basically, you're saying magical power or a superpower like an X-Men, right? Is that what you're saying? Um, so like the ability, the superpower to make a universe. Um, I guess an X-Men that had that power would be pretty darn powerful. Um, but maybe not. I mean, think about it. If the universe starts out really really small, maybe it doesn't take that much energy or effort to start it then. Maybe it's like, oh, I dropped a little, I dropped a penny like on the ground. But instead of a penny, it's like a massive energy, right? And like I just dropped it. And there is no ground to drop it on, right? In this scenario, because there's just me and I'm like taking this energy that's always existed, right? And then all I'm doing is just using the energy that already is there and like using it to make itself bigger, which doesn't even need me to do it. It just needs itself to do it. Like the energy itself, which has always existed, it's just sitting there doing nothing. And by it being energy, like it's stored, right? It's got a potential. And then the potential is realized because then it discharges that energy in order to get going. And there's no reason that it did that. It's just that's what happened, right? So uh basically you have a battery, a giant eternal battery that started the universe. Okay, that's what we have due to your bad argument. Good job there, buddy. A battery is God. Okay, sure, why not?
The inevitable answer is God.
No, it's not. It's a battery, as I've already outlined.
At this point, we simply need to examine the scientific evidence to see whether the universe had a beginning or is eternal and unchanging.
Well, we already have that, but again, those observations for Big Bang cosmology only get us so far. We don't know if there was a beginning in that sense. Um and we don't know a lot of stuff that happened before that because math starts to break down. So that's kind of a problem. So you run out of science and then you start doing bad arguments. That's what happens here. And what you should do is when you run out of science, you go, well, we don't know. And that's where I am. I say, I don't know. I say, well, doesn't it have a cause? I don't know. Don't know. Can't infer that because you can't infer something about the whole from the parts. Plus, physics, as the universe gets smaller and hotter, because we're talking trillions of degrees and stuff, the universe was the size of Jupiter at one point, and then the size of Earth, and then the size of my finger. And at that point, I have no idea what to believe the universe is like because it's smaller than me. So I cannot and should not infer that physics, as I understand them, is still constant and continual within that small universe. Maybe the physics are different slightly. I don't know, and you don't know either. But you're pretending to know for your bad argument, your bad non-proof argument with like, I don't know, 6 fallacies or something now. All right, anyways, okay, keep going though.
As confirmed by multiple observations made by scientists,
I'm glad that you agree with the scientists. I mean, that's at least something. So, here's the rub though, okay? because you're fine with scientists saying, "Hey, yeah, the universe had a, maybe had a beginning." They don't really say that, but we'll pretend that that's what they say. Okay, then you go, okay, hey, remember you said in the description there about a Virgin Mary that you can pray to, or what? It wasn't in the. Was it in the description? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That you can pray to the. Let's see. Where was it? You can pray to the Virgin Mary, right? Now, I happen to know about the Virgin Mary from that story, right? The story actually says a young woman, not a virgin, but that's something the Catholics decided, nah, it means virgin. And so here's the problem: human females, biological females, cannot give birth without uh, insemination from their male counterpart. So there is a way there are some ways you could get pregnant on a technical level without having sex, by like artificial insemination. And I suppose on a technical level you would be a virgin because you hadn't had sex, but you still need sperm. So unless you want to posit that the Virgin Mary somehow got sperm into her and she doesn't know how that happened, then you can't have a Virgin Mary. Now, I have proposed that it is fully possible that Joseph, Mary's husband, they were like gonna get married, but he, was, as all men, get kind of bored waiting. But he wanted to keep her a virgin, but he wanted, to pleasure himself. And so he did. And it happened to be on her hairbrush. Now, why did he decide to pleasure himself near her hairbrush? Who knows? Maybe it smelled like her, so it got him off, and he got all over it. Okay. Then what happens is he hears Mary coming, not coming from sex, but coming in the doorway, or coming into the house, and he runs to the other room. And he's like, "Oh, hey, Mary, hey, how's it going?" She's like, "Hey, can you go get something from the local market? I don't know, whatever." And he's like, "All right, yes, dear." He goes off to the market, and she's like, "Okay, great. Now I'm alone." She grabs her hairbrush and she goes to town. Woo! Woo! On herself. You know what I'm saying? Like she puts that hairbrush inside of her multiple times. Woo! And then that's how she got pregnant. Now that's plausible, I suppose. But it's not mentioned in the Bible that happened. So what you guys believe in is a miraculous thing that goes against science, because we know that you need sperm and egg to make human, and sperm comes from guy, and there's only so many ways you can do that and remain virginal. What you want is there to be no sperm involved and yet have a kid. But you can't have that because all the scientists everywhere, unless they're putting on their religious hats, will tell you it's biologically impossible for a woman to give birth without having her eggs inseminated by sperm. So, on the one hand, you're happy when science seems to be on your side. But on the other hand, you have to ignore science to pretend that magic is possible. I wish you'd pick a lane, and stay in it. Just go full magic or full science. One or the other. I don't know why you picked both, but okay, whatever. All right, anyways, where were we?
The universe originated approximately 14 billion years ago through an
I mean, 13.7 billion years. So, close enough. I guess you could round up.
an event scientists call the singularity, which marked the beginning of the Big Bang.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is widely accepted, but it's not like the origin exactly. So you're getting that part wrong, but that's okay. We're just ignoring science at this point because it's inconvenient.
Current scientific analyses and discoveries lead us to define the characteristics of that unique event that gave rise to everything. Characteristics that have bewildered those who deny the existence of a creator.
Like what? Because it doesn't bewilder me. And I'm not denying anything because I don't have proof of a thing to deny. See, to deny something is suggesting that there's a thing that proves the thing that you're denying. But there's no proof here. Just a horrible, bad logic.
This is because science tells us that what initiated the creation of all existing matter must be different from the matter we know, and
no, the science does not tell us that. Now you're just lying. See, you were telling the truth for a moment there, that science has Big Bang cosmology. Then you started lying, that is deceiving. Either maybe you're unaware, maybe you think that this is true, but now it's not true. I'm letting you know so that from the next time you correct this video, which I'm totally sure you're gonna do. Anyways, no scientist has ever said in any peer-reviewed published paper that I'm aware of that the thing that made the universe has to be different from everything else and has to be timeless and or eternal. That's not a thing that I would think that you would find in any peer-reviewed paper anywhere. And if you had it, I'm sure you would have cited it, but we know that you have no citations. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 346 citation and scientist that says that, please. I'm sure you have it, since you said it was so, but I kind of want you to prove there is a scientist that said that. Yeah, there is none. Anyways.
must be timeless or eternal. Furthermore, the event that brought forth the matter of the universe also brought forth time.
Yeah. Well, no, but yes, but no. See, the thing is, space-time is the same thing. Space and time are the same. And that's that messes with your head. They're basically the same. They're like two aspects of the same thing. You're like, well, wait, what? Yeah. When you move around, it takes time to do that. So you can't have one without the other, basically, I guess. And it's really weird. It gets funky. It's because there's the idea of time that we have, which is based on basically the Earth orbiting the sun, loosely speaking, right? And the thing is, like when you're talking about time in regards to the universe, you're talking about a different sort of time than what we're used to. And then you get into relativity and stuff like this. But to say bring forth time, you're so wrong. It's not even funny, because space-time was a thing the moment that the universe was a thing. And there is no before, because there is no time. So without time, there is no before the universe at all. So then there can't be anything that happens before that to make anything happen, because there is no before that. And that really is wacky, isn't it? But you're saying, no, there's an eternal thing that you have no proof of that's before all that, even though that's impossible. But okay, sure, why not? Be wrong.
Which did not exist prior to that moment. Therefore, what initiated the creation of the universe must possess unimaginable power, an immense force that we could describe as omnipotent, capable of creating the universe through an unparalleled act of power.
Not sure how you got there from where you were, but again, not sure how much power you really need when basically everything that you need is right there. When you have everything, when you have that much energy in that little tiny amount of space, there's really not that much you would really need to do. In fact, there's nothing that you would need to do because it's just going to happen on its own. You don't need to do diddly squat. It will do it on its own quite nicely. You have a lot of energy. You pack it all into one little tiny dot, and it's gonna do a thing. Okay, and it doesn't need anything else to do that. And it's like, well, you need a lot of power. No, you don't. You don't need any power. All the energy is already there. So the only thing you need is energy. And what the hell is energy? Well, it's complicated. It's like, what the hell is anything, right? And we're trying to figure that out via science. But you think you figured it out already, and you've labeled that answer God, but I'm saying that the reasoning that you've used to get to that conclusion is fallacious. Therefore, you don't have proof or evidence or a test, but you do have a bad argument. But you're not quite done yet. Therefore, I can't be done with my video.
Furthermore, what caused the creation of everything, as we mentioned earlier, must be immaterial.
Wait, why? What does that mean? How does that work? What the hell is an immaterial anything like? How could anything be not a thing? See, material means something, okay? The word material has a meaning. All right. So what is material is a substance or mixture of substances that constitutes an object. Materials can be pure, impure, living or non-living matter. Materials can be classified on the basis of their physical and chemical properties, or their geological origin or biological function, right? So that's material. So when you say immaterial, you're saying not that, which is something that not only have we never observed, but we also couldn't observe because it wouldn't be a thing anymore. You need a thing to be a thing. You need some sort of rules. You need some sort of structure to base your reality upon. So when you say immaterial, what you're saying is imagination.
And there are only two general categories of immaterial things: minds and abstract principles, such as math.
Wait, what? Wait. What?
Everything, as we mentioned earlier, must be immaterial. And there are only two.
Okay, now he's doing a category error. This is a category error because he's saying there's two general categories of immaterial things. And I'm telling you it's a category error because I guarantee I could come up with a third thing. But okay, let's see what he's got for an example of an immaterial thing, which I also guarantee is not going to be an example of an immaterial thing. Here we go.
General categories of immaterial things: minds and abstract principles.
Okay, mind is not an immaterial thing. Period. End of story. The mind is a byproduct of material. We've never observed. You like to do this argument. Well, base it on observation, right? Okay, great. The only time we see a mind is because we have a brain. Okay, guess what? The brain is what? What is the brain? What is it? What is it made out of? Material. So we've never observed a mind that doesn't have a material to it, right? So how could you then say that the mind is an abstract, non-material thing? Abstract principle. Okay, so you think that that's immaterial? Well, no. Because it's rooted in the fact that there are facts. The abstract objects exist as ideas, but they can only exist as ideas if there is a mind to have those abstract principles. And a mind can only exist if there is a brain. As far as we know, we've never seen a mind without a brain. So I am submitting that we can only have a mind if you have a brain. So is God brainless? Because you said it's immaterial, so it cannot have a mind then. And as far as an abstract principle, that requires imagination. So you have an example of a material object, the mind, and imagination. Okay, so your only two general category of something immaterial is something that's made up. Okay, great. So your one example, and I could have come up with other examples, but I reduced it from 2 to 1 just because, whatever, because I'm not going to go making it more, even though I could, but whatever, doesn't matter. The point is, the abstract principle is imagination. So that's it. That's your one category of immaterial thing is made up stuff. Okay. So I agree. God is made up. Okay, good. Good job.
Such as mathematical principles or ideas.
Again, if you're saying that those things aren't based on real stuff, you're wrong because they are. But if you're saying that those things are immaterial, you're also kind of wrong. But if you want to be right, then we'll say fine, they're imaginary. Okay, so the only example of immaterial anything is imaginary stuff that we've made up. Okay, great.
However, among these two categories, only a mind can provide a reasonable explanation for the universe.
No, it cannot, because you require a brain to have a mind. Without a brain, you have no mind. That is all that we've ever observed is minds and brains being linked to each other. A mind is not an independent thing that exists apart from a brain, and if it is, well, then you need to demonstrate that. Where's your demonstration for that? Other than this empty assertion that you're making, you have not demonstrated that a mind can function or be without a brain. So, no, many things can provide a more reasonable explanation for a universe, and you don't need a mind. Because if you have a mind, then you also need a brain. And if you have a brain, then you know that you're wrong. There you go. Yeah, I did the thing where I said if you do X, then you're Z. I learned that from somebody. It's a bad reasoning. But so don't do what I did. Don't do that. Okay. Anyways, all right. So no, this isn't a reasonable explanation for the universe. Well, I guess you could say it might be, but then you're positing a brain, a creature with a brain that made the universe. Okay, great. Okay, then that something had to make that creature. See, so it's not this eternal creature. But if you did have an eternal creature that's always existed, then there's a possibility that there's creatures that exist for all time with brains that don't need explanation. So we don't need an explanation either, but we do have an explanation, which isn't this explanation. So then therefore that explanation to remain constant would have to avoid the special pleading that was required when you changed the rules on us in this video of everything needing a cause to there being one thing that doesn't need a cause. Remember when you did that? That's called special pleading. I don't know. That's like 7 fallacies now. So, anyways.
Mathematical principles, for instance, are simple descriptions and cannot create anything.
That's correct. They're just math.
A number does not create anything.
Correct.
Similarly, ideas cannot create anything either.
Incorrect. I mean, ideas. Okay, like on its own, I suppose. If I just I thought of a thing right now. Okay, that's it. That's all that happened, right? I just thought about something. Like what do you mean by create something? Like, because I just thought of a thing, right? So like if I didn't do anything with that idea, then yeah, it doesn't create anything. But but if I do something with that idea, then that idea did do something and did create. I'm like thinking of like I don't know. I'm doing this, and then like, oh God, what have I done? Oh no, now I have carbons here. Oh God, carbons, fucking hidden carbon. Okay. I better not do anything that looks like it could have hidden carbons and hydrogens because I learned about this, and these are carbon things, and there's hidden hydrogen molecules, and like you just write a thing, and that's chemistry. So we don't want to do that right now. We're gonna ignore that. We're gonna draw something else because I want to make up something. I don't know. I'm gonna make up a thing. I don't know what I'm making up here. All right, here's my idea. I'm just making it. It's a thing now. Okay. So there. Okay. So there's my idea. Okay. All right. So it did do something. My idea was that. Okay. That, I mean, I kind of just drew it and I didn't really think about it before I drew it. So I'm not sure how that works. But there you go. My idea did do something. So you're kind of wrong, but you might be technically correct. So I don't know anymore. Anyways, where were we? Okay.
What can the idea of freedom create? Nothing.
The idea of freedom. Yeah, I guess it doesn't create that. You need people to like enact that to be a thing. You need a person to come up with the concept and then act upon it. Okay. So you need a person. Okay, great.
What can create, though, is a mind, consciousness.
Um, no, no. You need more than just a mind or consciousness to create. You also need a functioning body. Because, like, when I drew that little picture there, I had a hand that did that. And that hand is attached to an arm, which is attached to a body, which is attached to my head. And I need all of those things to be able to draw that thing. So if I didn't have a hand or an arm, and I had no hands and no arms, then I could use my face to draw it with. It'd be harder, but I suppose it could be done. Probably use my feet. Okay. Um so you need other stuff besides just your mind or consciousness to create stuff, unless you're talking about like creating by just what, magic. I don't know, but yeah. um so you need more than just a mind or consciousness to make stuff. So great. So this thing that you're talking about has a brain and it has a body. Otherwise it can't do diddly squat. Okay, great. All right. So it's a person. You're talking about a person now. But you're talking about a person who's also not a person, because you're talking about a person who's not made of anything, meaning they can't have a mind and can't do anything because they have nothing to do anything with. That's very weird. Keep going though. We're almost done.
Only a being endowed with awareness is capable of creation, and
All right. So who endowed the being with awareness? Since everything has to be endowed by something else. Oh, right. The special pleading. This thing doesn't need anything that does the rules that the previous stuff did. Okay, great. So we have a thing that doesn't require any explanation other than it just is. Why can't that thing also be just energy? Why does it have to be a being? Well, because the guy wants it to be a being. That's why. There's no other real actual explanation, other than his bad argument. Like, that's why he's giving a bad argument. Why is he giving a bad argument? I don't know. He's giving a bad argument. I can't explain it further. Why is he giving a bad argument? I guess it's the best he's got. Is it proof? No, it's just a bad argument. He seems to think it's good, though. Otherwise, he wouldn't be giving it. But I'm guessing this is supposed to be a proof, but it's not proof because, well, you've got several logical fallacies. So we can't see it as proof. Also, it's not proof under evidence because we'd have empirical evidence of the phenomenon itself. And you don't have that because you said that the phenomenon was immaterial, which is something that you couldn't ever prove. So you can't have proof of it. You've literally made it impossible for you to prove it, and you've made it non existent by calling it immaterial. Well done. And also, you've given it no brain but a mind somehow. And also, you've made it ignore all the rules that you had for everything else because it's a special entity that doesn't need any of the other rules that everything else has because reasons. Insanity. Keep going, though.
And this inevitably leads us to a sentient entity.
No, it doesn't, because you can't have sentience without a brain, so
In the beginning was the Word.
I don't care about that. Don't. Besides, okay, who wrote John? When was it written? In what language? Where was it found? When was it found? Who found it? And what does the translation originally read? And how late in the day was that found? Like, what time period can we date this writing to? Because this was written by a human. Whoever wrote this was a human. By the way, those numbers, those got added in later. So, yeah, made it, like, easier to look up stuff and whatnot, okay? So, yeah, they didn't have chapters or numbers or anything when it was a scroll. So John exists as a scroll. Now, when was that scroll found? Where was it found? Was the whole thing found? Was part of it found? What's interesting is you start asking questions like that to anybody that believes that John is anything that we should care about. You ask people that, and you know what? They get a blank stare. They don't know when it was found. They don't know when John was written. They don't even, and by the way, who wrote John? Now, you might think John wrote John. If you're, if you're uneducated, you might think that. But no, we don't know who wrote John. Yeah, we don't. We have no idea who wrote John. And by we, I mean the people who actually study this and can answer the question of when we found this paper or the scroll or whatever the hell it was written on. The papyrus leaves or whatever the bleep they wrote it on. So, where did you find it? Where was it found? And who found it? And why is it that the person that believes that this John is telling us anything doesn't know where the hell John was found? Where was that writing found? And when was it found? Why don't they know the answer to that question? Hey, the vulture in my chat there. I noticed you talking. Hey, the vulture, answer my question. When was John found? When was the scroll, or whatever the bleep it was, of John found? When? By whom? Who found it? Where was it found? What location? Can you answer those questions? Can you answer those questions? No, he can't. He doesn't know the answers. And I would suspect doesn't even know how to look for the answers either. Why is that? Why is that, Vulture? Why can't you answer simple questions like that? Because if it was me, I would know the answer. But you don't even know who the hell wrote this or when or where. But what we do know is a human wrote it. And humans can be wrong. And humans can make up stories. So this, it's just a made-up story. Insufficient to explain anything. Skip. All right, let's see. Let's see. When someone tells you that science denies the existence of God, which nobody should say it that way because no, science doesn't say anything about God because God is not a scientific thing. God is outside the realm of science. and people have placed God outside the realm of science. Because if God was something that was scientific, we could prove God, absolutely verify it empirically. We could test God. We could show that God's an actual phenomenon. But you can't do that. All you can do is give really, really bad arguments full of logical fallacies. You had at least 7 that I counted. I probably missed some already. So, no, science doesn't deny, nor does it affirm God at all. Science has nothing to say about God one way or the other.
Of God oppose them strongly because they are lying.
Now, you're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You're a liar. Or they could be wrong. And the fact that they might be lying and or wrong doesn't negate that they could actually be telling the truth. Yeah, I know. It's really weird. Like, wait, you could be saying something that you believe is a lie, right? Because this is fun. Like, if you think that you drank a beer earlier that day, okay, if that's what you think that that's true, right? But it turns out we have a recording of you, and at no point did you ever drink a beer during that day, right? We have a recording of you throughout the day, and you didn't drink beer, but you think that you drank a beer. You could lie and say, I didn't drink a beer. And from your perspective, because you believe that you drank a beer, you would be lying. But the truth of the matter is that you did drink a beer. So see, it's all inside out now. You see what I'm saying? Like, a lie could be true, but then like there's a different sort of lie which is not true, which I just call fractal error. That's when something just isn't true. Like everything you've done here, pretty much, is just a fractal error. Anyways, keep going.
The path of knowledge and awareness leads to God.
Which God? What version? What category? What path of knowledge? What awareness? What are you talking about? Because nothing here led to any God at all. It led me to conclude that your argument sucks.
God illuminates our minds and reveals himself to.
Why is it a him? How did it become a him? When did that happen? Illuminates your mind. No, it's not. It's not doing that, as far as I can tell. Revealing itself to me in its greatness. Okay, it's not doing that either, as far as I can tell. All I can see is my avatar face glowing when I talk, and this video on the side. I don't see any evidence of God yet, so where's that? So you're telling me something should happen, but that thing isn't happening, so now I know that that's wrong, which means you're mistaken. You're in error, sir.
To us in all his grandeur.
All right, we finally got to the end. All right, guys. 5 minutes and 33 seconds. Only I, Deconverted Man, could spend an hour on that sort of a video. Nobody else would dare do it because nobody else is as crazy as I am. I think. Maybe somebody else. You know what? The atheist... Okay, I got to go off on this tangent here for a second. The atheist has no alternate explanation for Genesis 1:1. Let me ask you a question about Genesis, Vulture, which I'm sure you'll answer. When was Genesis found? Who found the writings of Genesis? What date did they find the writings of Genesis? Because Genesis is written, right? So somebody wrote it, right? So when did whoever find the first copy of Genesis? When? What date? Can you give me a date? Can you give me a time? Can you give me a location, Vulture? Can you? Hello? Hello? Vulture? Hello? Aaron Robb beats me on saying he's seen through Kent Hovind's lectures. Yeah, that is pretty crazy. That's a different kind of crazy, yeah. Because I'm asking you the question, Vulture. That's why. When did they find Genesis, and who found it? When and who and where? No, 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 no. No. Do you know the answers? Do you know the answers? This isn't a playing games of, oh, can you do it? No, I'm asking you. I asked first. When did they find Genesis, and where did they find Genesis? You tell me. So do you not know the answer? You don't know the answer then, right? Do you know the answer to these questions, Vulture, of when and where they found Genesis? Do you know? Yes or no? It's very simple. Very simple question. Do you know the answer? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you know the answer of when, where, and who found Genesis? And so my point, if anyone is wondering why I'm spending any time on this is the problem that many believers have. They don't know. They have no idea how their book came into being. Tell me what you think you know, I won't answer. Okay, so you don't know. Got it. So you do not know the Vulture. You don't want to admit that you're ignorant of your own book. How do you know? Yes or no? Let's just see if you're honest. If you can be honest. Just a moment with us, the Vulture. You want us to believe that there's a God, then be honest with me. Do you know where Genesis, where it was found, who found it, when that was done? Either it's a yes or a no. It's very simple. God made the scripture. Okay, Vulture, that's nice. When did they find the scripture, and where did they find it? Also, how did God make the scripture? Since you're saying God made the scripture, and you didn't answer yes or no that you where they found it. So interesting, um, how you didn't answer that question. So here's my point. Vulture does not know. We all know that Vulture doesn't know, and that they're not answering yes or no because they don't want to be honest with us about not knowing. But we know they don't know. Why is it important to know where and when Genesis was found? If he doesn't know why that's not important, that's a problem too. I won't play your games. Tell us what you think you know. Okay, I won't play your game either. So you don't know anything, Vulture. Got it. So your conclusion about Genesis is absolutely irrelevant because you don't know a diddly squat about it. There you go. That's my conclusion now. Good job. Here we go. Okay, historians believe the original text was written in 5th century BC. The newer version around 400 BCE was changed due to translation errors. Hey, there's an answer. I think you probably Googled that. Just call me Avite. Am I correct in that you Googled that? But at least you produced an answer, right? Okay. And notice also we believe, but it was written sometime in the 5th century, right? So who wrote it? We don't know. Yeah, historians believe. Right, exactly. So you have a problem with people believing stuff, don't you, Vulture? But you believe in Genesis and you don't even know when or where it was found or who found it or anything about it. You believe that the scripture was just written by God in English, I guess, because you're ignorant. We don't know. Okay, you don't know. So you don't know anything. Okay, got it. So you don't know when or where this book came about, but you believe it anyways. Why? See, that's the difference. That's the difference. That's the proof that anyone that cannot comprehend It's just beyond me. I don't know why. Why are people like this? I don't know. But it's weird. I have encountered so many theists that just don't know the answers to these basic questions. You know God made it. How do you know that when you don't even know the location of where it was found? We don't know, atheists. Yeah, we don't know. What's your problem with that? Not knowing is better than pretending to know. Okay, so my response to God exists, the proof you must know video is done. And now, now I'm just messing with this guy in chat. So now I'm going to offer him one final invitation. Hey, Vulture, you want to come in and talk to me live right now? Yes or no? Let's see if he'll even do that, or she, or it, whatever. Come on, Vulture. You're lecturing while claiming to be ignorant. Yeah, it's possible to do that. I know, it's amazing. You don't have to know everything to know what the answer isn't. Like what 1 plus, or what 1,000,000 to the power of 75 is. I have no idea. Can you not interrupt if we speak? Oh, I'll interrupt a lot. Believe me, I'll interrupt you every time you're wrong. So no, I can't. I can't not interrupt. No, I have to stop you when you're wrong. And you have to answer my questions honestly and openly. So I don't think that you will. I don't think you'll come in, but let's find out. There you go. Click on that. Come in. Let's see how long you last. And I'm going to ask you for evidence. You're not going to have it. Nah, no thanks. We all kind of said that, didn't we? We said run away. Yeah, we all knew. He wasn't going to do it. Or she, probably a he, I would guess. I have talked to some theists. Some theists are willing. You can't hold your tongue. Thabisks, everybody. Thabisks. That's our new word, everybody. Be sure to comment the word Thabisks in the comments. Thabisk. That's it. I'm done. Thanks for watching. Be a skeptic. Because when you're a skeptic, that means you can learn the when and the where and the who found the dang thing in the first place. And it won't bother you to know that man made it up. Because that's the truth. There's been religions before Christianity and Judaism. Lots and lots of religions. Hinduism predates. Well, okay, Hinduism was a different area. Let's see, Zoroastrianism predates Judaism. A whole bunch of other stories floating around the time of the Jews. A whole bunch of different mythologies and beliefs were held, and the Jews seem to have just straight up copied their ideas from a lot of those things. Tale of Gilgamesh, for example, pretty much stolen by the Jewish people. Noah doesn't exist. Amalgamation of people. Moses, also an amalgamation of people. Exodus never happened. There was no worldwide flood. We know that demonstrably demonstratable that there was no worldwide flood. We know there was no Exodus. That's been demonstrably demonstrated to not be a thing. They weren't in Egypt. There weren't that many Jewish people around. Camels were not domesticated back in the Bible times, even though they used camels as beasts of burden all the time in biblical stories. That means the person that wrote it did not know that camels were not domesticated because they were living in the time when camels were domesticated. We know that the Bible is false and fake on many, 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 many things. And what the theist knows, well, broadly speaking, is far less than what the non-theist knows, generally. And why is that? Why are they ignorant about their own book that they think is so important, that they think is written by God? I don't know why they're ignorant about it. Maybe they're afraid to learn. I don't know. But when I was a Christian, I wanted to learn all those questions. So I found out. I looked into it. I found the when, the why, the who, the where. And then I found out just how much we don't know, and found out that these stories are made up and not real. So maybe that's why it's better to remain ignorant than to find the answers. But that's if you want to keep faith. I don't want faith. I just want facts. So the Vulture won't come in to this stream. He won't come in any stream. He's not coming in. We all know that. But if he does want to talk, he can email me, deconvertedman1@gmail.com. And this is for everybody. If you want to talk to me for whatever reason, we'll do so live. I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll talk about it. Anyways, so that's that. And in the meantime, make sure to write that word I said to write. That now I've forgotten what it was, but just do that. Thanks, everybody. Good night. All right, we done now? Yeah, we're done. Okay, cool. That was a good show. All right, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Good job, everybody. You did great, director. You did great, producer. You did great, cameraman. You did... Oh, did I leave the recording button on? Oh, man. At least I didn't say anything embarrassing this time. I totally did that last time, though. Okay, so we're done now. Yep. Nobody should be watching at this point. All right. Oh, my God, we're still recording. Push the button.